I have a confession to make, and I'm hesitating a little bit because I feel like if I say this out loud, it makes it real.
Okay.
But I have this recurring fantasy. I'm pretty sure, based on, the emails we get and just the general vibe of the world right now, that this is a fantasy shared by about 90% of the people listening to this.
This is the one about winning the Powerball and buying a private island?
No, actually, that's the optimistic fantasy. Mine is a little darker. It's simpler. It is the cabin in the woods fantasy. You know the one I'm talking about.
I have a vague idea, yes.
It's like a Tuesday morning. The alarm goes off at 6:30. You pick up your phone, mistake number 1, and you have 42 unread emails.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Slack notification from your boss that was sent at 11:00 p.m. the night before. You have a meeting at 9 a.m. that you are woefully unprepared for. And you just lie there and think, what if I just stopped?
Right.
What if I sell everything, buy a tiny shack in Montana with no Wi-Fi, throw my phone into a river, and just never speak to a human being again?
Ah, yes. The burnout fantasy. The run away from it all strategy. It's practically a modern epidemic.
Exactly. It's that overwhelming urge to just drop out. We see it trending on social media, this quiet quitting or the great resignation or even cottagecore, but it feels deeper than just a job thing.
Oh, it's much deeper.
It feels like an existential scream. It's a
Nah.
desire to escape the noise, the pressure, the constant doing.
It is a very human impulse. In fact, it is such a fundamental human impulse that it is the exact starting point for the material we are covering today.
Which is why I am so incredibly excited for this deep dive, because we are looking at a text that is thousands of years old, yet it addresses this exact Tuesday morning burnout feeling with absolute surgical precision.
It really does.
Today we are unpacking chapter 5 of the Bhagavad Gita.
Specifically, the chapter titled The Path of Renunciation, or in the original Sanskrit, Sanyasa Yoga.
Now, I have to be honest with you. When I saw the reading list for this week, The Path of Renunciation, my knee-jerk reaction was to kind of roll my eyes.
I get that.
I mean, we're talking about a text from a battlefield thousands of years ago. I'm worrying about a mortgage, a toxic work culture, and keeping up with the news cycle. It feels like a stretch to say, just renounce it.
Right. It sounds dismissive.
It feels like spiritual bypassing, like, oh, just breathe and it'll all go away.
That is a completely fair critique. And usually when we hear the word renunciation, we think of asceticism. We think of, giving up the world.
Right. I picture a guy in an orange robe sitting in a cave eating 1 grain of rice a day. And look, I respect that lifestyle, but I like my espresso machine.
Me too.
I like Netflix, I have responsibilities, I can't just walk away. So is this deep dive going to tell me that the only way to be happy is to shave my head and move to that cave? Because I'm not sure I'm ready for that level of commitment.
I am happy to report that that is the common misconception.
Mm-hmm.
And that is exactly what makes this chapter so fascinating and so useful for modern life. It answers the ultimate question. Is it better to run away from the world? That's the classic definition of renunciation. Or is it better to stay and fight your battles?
The stay or go debate.
Precisely. But here is the twist, and this is where it gets subversive. The text argues that the person sitting in the cave trying to meditate away their problems might actually be more miserable than the person working 60 hours a week.
Wait, really?
If they don't understand the underlying psychology.
Okay, now you have my attention. You're saying the guy in the cave might be failing harder than the guy in the office.
Absolutely. The text argues that you don't need to change your location. You don't need the cabin in the woods. You need a radical shift in psychology. It's not about quitting your job. It's about quiet quitting your anxiety.
Well, I like the sound of that. I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to figure out how to be in the world, doing the work, paying the bills, dealing with the stress, but somehow not be of the world. We're going to look at some very cool and honestly kind of trippy images from the text, like the lotus leaf and the city of 9 gates.
These are powerful metaphors. We're treating this text today not as a religious scripture that you have to, believe in, but as a psychological and philosophical toolkit.
Right.
Whether you are spiritual, religious, atheist, or just a stressed out professional, there is a mechanism here for mental clarity that is incredibly practical.
So let's dive in. Set the scene for us. Where are we in the story? Because context is king here.
We are right in the middle of a battlefield. It is the brink of a massive civil war. You have Arjuna, the greatest warrior of his time, who is having a massive existential crisis.
A total meltdown.
Total meltdown. He doesn't want to fight. He sees his cousins, his teachers, his friends on the other side. He is paralyzed by grief and confusion.
Which is relatable. I mean, maybe not the killing your cousins part, but the paralysis.
Absolutely.
That I don't know what the right thing to do is feeling.
Exactly. He's talking to Krishna, his charioteer and guide, and up until this point, Krishna has been giving him what sounds like, well, like mixed messages.
Yeah, I was reading the source notes, and Arjuna sounds frustrated. In Chapter 2, Krishna talks about wisdom and detaching from everything. He praises the path of knowledge. Then in Chapter 3, he says, get up and fight, do your duty.
Right.
And now we open Chapter 5, verse 1, and Arjuna basically snaps.
He does. Verse 5.1 is Arjuna saying, "O Krishna, sometimes you seem to praise the path of renunciation, and other times you praise the path of action. Please tell me clearly which of the two is beneficial."
I love how direct that is. It's like us asking, do I meditate for peace or do I grind for success? Stop speaking in riddles. Give me the bullet points.
It's the classic binary thinking trap, isn't it? You think it has to be one or the other.
Totally.
Either I am a monk, sitting in silence, purely spiritual, or I am a corporate shark, stressed out of my mind, purely material. Arjuna wants to know which path is better. He's looking for the hack.
Right. And let's be honest, he has a hidden agenda here. If Krishna says renunciation is better, then Arjuna gets to drop his bow and arrow and run away from the war. He gets to take the moral high ground to avoid the dirty work.
He is looking for a philosophical loophole to escape his anxiety. So what's the verdict? Verse 5.2.
Krishna drops the truth. He says, renunciation of worldly pleasures and performing prescribed duties are both necessary for one to achieve liberation.
So both. They aren't mutually exclusive.
Okay.
You need the internal attitude of renunciation, but you also need the external engagement of action. However, and this is the key for us, he adds a qualifier. He says, performing prescribed action is better than merely renouncing worldly pleasures.
Wait, pause there. Doing the work is better than quitting.
Better.
That's surprising for a spiritual text. Usually you'd expect the ascetic life, the silence, the withdrawal to be the gold standard. Why is action better?
Because of how the human mind works.
Yeah.
Verse 5.6 gives us the reasoning. The source text says, mere renunciation without action leads to misery.
Leads to misery. That is strong language.
It's very strong. Think about it. If you physically remove yourself from the world, let's go back to your cabin in the woods. You quit the job, you move to Montana, it's quiet, there are no emails. But what happens on day 3?
My brain starts eating itself.
Exactly.
I mean, the silence would be deafening.
It would. You start worrying about money. You start replaying old arguments. You start wondering if you made a mistake. You start inventing new problems because there are no external problems to solve.
That's that wherever you go, there you are thing.
The mind doesn't stop just because the body stops. In fact, without the structure of duty and action, the mind often becomes wilder.
Right. It has nothing to latch onto, so it just spins out.
The source material explains that true renunciation isn't about what you own or where you live. It is an internal state. Trying to force an external quietness when you have internal chaos is incredibly difficult. It's almost impossible for most people.
So Krishna is saying, don't try to be a monk if you still have the mind of a worldly person.
Correct. That is why he says the path of action karma yoga is easier or better. It harnesses the energy you already have.
Oh, I like that.
You use the work itself as the tool for liberation. You don't escape from the work. You escape through the work.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this is where the rubber meets the road. If I'm not supposed to quit my job, but I'm also not supposed to be miserable doing it, what is the middle ground? The text talks about a renunciant, or a sannyasi. But if that's not a guy in an orange robe, who is it?
Verse 5.3 gives us a beautiful definition. It says, a real renunciant is someone who neither hates the unpleasant nor craves the pleasant.
Neither hates nor craves. That sounds, well, can I be the skeptic again?
Please.
That sounds flat and sounds robotic. If I don't hate the bad stuff and I don't crave the good stuff, am I just a zombie? Is the goal to just be numb to life?
Not numb, balanced. It's about escaping the duality trap.
The duality trap.
Think about your average workday. It's a ping pong match.
Right.
You get a compliment from a client and you get a hit of dopamine. I crave this, I want more, I am amazing.
High on success.
Yeah. Exactly. Then an hour later, you get a criticism or a tedious spreadsheet task, and you recoil, I hate this, get it away from me, I am terrible.
Yeah, that's the emotional roller coaster. Up and down, all day long. And by 5:00 p.m., I'm exhausted. Not because of the physical work, but because of the emotional whiplash.
Precisely. That oscillation is what binds you. That is the stress. The text calls it bondage.
Ah.
If you are constantly chasing the high of a good result and fearing the low of a bad result, you are a slave to the result. You are being jerked around by external circumstances.
So the renunciant described here is someone who still does the work, writes the report, leads the team, makes the sales call, but they aren't emotionally hijacked by how it turns out.
Precisely. They have conquered the dualities. They bring the same quality of attention to the tedious task as they do to the exciting task.
Okay.
And this brings us to one of the most famous images in the Gita, found in verse 5.10, the lotus leaf.
I love this image. The source material describes it as hydrophobic.
Yes. Have you ever seen a lotus leaf in a pond? It is sitting right on the water. It grows out of the mud and water. It might even be submerged sometimes. But when you lift it out or when rain falls on it, what happens?
The water just beads up and rolls off. It doesn't get wet.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's in the water, but the water doesn't stick to it.
That is the strategy. The text says, perform your duties, your work, your family obligations, your social roles. But let the sin, or the stress and the karma, roll off you like water on a lotus leaf.
Okay, that sounds fantastic on paper. Be the leaf. I want to put that on a bumper sticker, but how do we actually do that?
Right. The practical application.
Because stress feels pretty sticky to me. When things go wrong, I take it home, I lose sleep, it sticks, it soaks in.
Why does it stick?
Because I care. Because I want to do a good job. Because my reputation is on the line.
Does it stick because you want to do a good job, or does it stick because you are attached to what the job says about you?
Ouch, okay. Go on.
The stickiness comes from attachment.
Hmm.
Specifically, attachment to the outcome. You think, I did this work, so I deserve this reward.
Right. I deserve the promotion.
I deserve the praise. Or, I did this work, so I'm a failure if it flops. You're sticking your ego to the result.
Yeah.
That is the Velcro.
So how do I remove the Velcro? How do I make myself hydrophobic?
The source material offers a mechanism. You shift the motivation. You stop acting for the reward, the promotion, the praise, the money, and you start acting as an offering.
An offering to what? Because not everyone listening is religious. That word can be a little loaded.
It can. The text uses the language of offering to the Lord, or Brahman. But even if we look at this secularly, think of it as offering your work to the universe, or to the greater good, or simply to the process itself, to excellence for its own sake.
So instead of, I'm doing this presentation so my boss thinks I'm smart, it becomes what?
It becomes, I am doing this presentation because it is my duty to do it well. I am contributing my skill to the whole. The result, whether the boss likes it or hates it, is not my business.
That is a hard pivot. The result is not my business. I think my inner control freak just had a heart attack.
It's the only way to be free. When you don't claim the result, the stress of the result can't stick to you. You are saying, I put the effort in, the outcome is out of my hands, it is an offering. That psychological shift makes you hydrophobic to anxiety.
It's almost like you're just the delivery guy.
Go on.
The delivery guy doesn't stress if the pizza he delivers is pepperoni or cheese. He doesn't stress if the person eating it burns their tongue. He just delivers it. He does the job perfectly, drops it off, and walks away.
That is a great analogy. You are the instrument of the action, not the owner of the outcome.
Wow.
And this leads us directly into the next major section of the chapter, which is a really deep dive into who is actually doing the work. Because if I'm not the owner of the outcome, am I even the doer of the action?
This is the part of the text that got a little matrix for me.
It does get trippy.
It gets very philosophical and honestly a little disorienting. Verse 5.13 talks about the city of 9 gates.
It's a beautiful, if slightly graphic, metaphor for the human body.
Right. Let's map this out for the listener. The source explains the 9 gates are the openings in the body. You've got the 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, the mouth. That's 7.
Right.
And then, well, the 2 lower gates.
The exits, yes. Elimination and procreation.
So we are this biological city with 9 portals interacting with the world, this walking, talking machine.
Correct. And the text says the self-consciousness, the soul, the Atman, lives inside this city. But here's the trippy part. It says the self neither does anything nor causes anything to be done.
This is verses 5.8 and 5.9. It lists all these actions. Seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving, sleeping, even breathing.
The fundamentals of being alive.
And it says, the knower of truth thinks, I am doing nothing at all.
Let's sit with that for a second. That is a radical statement.
It's hard to wrap your head around. If I'm eating a sandwich, I'm pretty sure I am eating the sandwich. My hand is holding it. My mouth is chewing it. How can the text say I am not doing it?
Let's look at the blueprint the text gives us. The text distinguishes between you, the witness consciousness, and nature, the body senses prakriti.
Okay.
When you eat, your hunger, which is a biological function of nature, is driving your hand, which is nature, to put food in your mouth, which is also nature. Your senses are interacting with sense objects. The consciousness inside is just watching it happen.
So it's like being in a self-driving car. The car is driving, the sensors are beeping, the wheels are turning. I'm sitting in the driver's seat, but I'm not actually steering.
In a way, yes. Or think of it like watching a movie. You can get really engrossed in the movie, you can cry, you can laugh, but you aren't actually in the movie. You are the spectator.
But it feels so real.
It feels real. The problem is we are spectators who think we are the actors.
Mm-hmm.
We suffer because we have this massive Atlas complex.
The weight of the world on our shoulders.
Right. We think I am the doer. I am making this happen. If I stop worrying, the universe collapses.
Oh, I feel that. The if I don't worry about it, it won't get done mentality. It's like if I'm not stressed, I'm not working.
But the Gita says, relax. Nature is doing the work.
Yeah.
The interactions of the material world are happening according to the laws of physics and karma.
Mm-hmm.
You are just the witness within the city of 9 gates.
Okay, hold on. I have to push back here.
Please do.
Because this sounds dangerously close to fatalism. If I'm just a witness and nature is doing everything, does that mean I have no free will? Does that mean I'm just a robot?
A valid concern?
Because that's not comforting. That's terrifying. If I murder someone, can I just say, hey, it wasn't me, it was my hand, it was nature?
That is the ultimate question. And if you read this superficially, it can sound like that. It can sound like a get-out-of-jail-free card for bad behavior.
Exactly.
But the expert commentary in our source material, specifically looking at the insights from the philosopher Sri Madhvacarya, uses a really specific, slightly bizarre analogy to clear this up.
Okay.
It's the analogy of the cow, the farmer, and the udder.
Okay, I did not see a cow coming into this conversation, but I'm intrigued. Walk me through this. How does a cow explain free will?
It's a brilliant way to explain the nuance of doership.
Yeah.
So imagine a cow being milked. You have 3 entities involved, the udder, the cow, and the farmer.
Okay, break it down.
First, the udder. It is an inert object. It's just tissue. It cannot decide to give milk. It cannot act on its own. It's just the equipment.
Okay, that's the hardware, the body, the senses.
Got it, in one. Then you have the cow. The cow is a living being. It has a desire to give milk. It has life. But can the cow milk itself?
No, it lacks the thumbs. It needs someone to do the milking.
Exactly. So the cow has what we call dependent doership. It has the will. You can hold the milk back if it's angry, or it can let it flow, but it needs help to execute the action.
Dependent doership. Okay.
Finally, you have the farmer. The farmer is the independent agent. He uses the udder and extracts the milk from the cow.
Okay, so how does this map to us? Who am I in this scenario?
In this analogy, the udder is our body and senses inert matter, the hardware. The cow is the individual soul. That's you and me.
I am the cow.
You are the cow.
I think I need a moment to process being the cow. My ego is taking a bit of a hit here.
I know, right?
I like to think I'm the farmer. I like to think I'm the one waking up, grabbing the bucket, and making things happen.
And that is exactly why you are stressed. Because you are a cow trying to be a farmer.
Okay, so if I'm the cow, what is my role? What am I responsible for?
Your role is the intention. The cow has the desire. It has the yes or the no. That is your free will. You have the freedom to choose your attitude and your intent. You can choose to align with the process, or you can fight against it.
And the farmer, who's the farmer?
The farmer is the Lord, or the universal will, the supreme power that actually makes actions possible. He provides the energy, the circumstances, the results.
So my responsibility is to want to do the right thing, to have the willingness.
Yes, you are responsible for the intent, the why, but you are not the master of the mechanics or the outcome.
You know, when you put it that way, it's actually incredibly freeing.
It is, isn't it?
It's not saying I'm a robot, it's saying I'm a collaborator.
Exactly. You are a partner, you're not the CEO, but you're a vital member of the team.
If I realize I'm the cow, I can stop trying to force the milk out. I can stop trying to manipulate the timeline, the market, the boss's mood. I just have to show up with the right intention.
And that is the antidote to the God complex. We get stressed because we try to play the role of the farmer. We try to force outcomes. The text says, stop that. Accept your dependent doership. When you accept that you are part of a larger system that is supporting you, the pressure to control everything vanishes.
That is a huge shift. And once you realize you're part of a larger system, that we are all just cows in the field, so to speak, it changes how you look at everyone else, doesn't it?
It changes everything.
This leads us to verse 5.18, which has a list that, well, honestly, it shocked me a little.
The vision of the wise.
Yeah. The text lists 5 specific beings that a wise person views with an equal eye. I'm going to read the list, and I want you to tell me what they have in common.
Let's hear it.
A learned, humble Brahmin, a top-tier scholar, the intellectual elite,
Right.
a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater.
Just for context, the term dog-eater refers to an outcast, someone at the very bottom of the social hierarchy of that time, someone considered unclean.
Right. So we have the highest human and the lowest human. And we have animals, a cow, which is considered holy, an elephant, which is noble, and a dog, which was considered unclean in that context. And the text says the wise person sees them all as the same.
Samadarshana. Seeing the same. Now let me ask you, does this mean the wise person thinks a scholar is physically the same as a dog?
I hope not. If I have a heart attack, I want the scholar, not the dog.
Exactly. It's not a functional equality. You don't treat them the same in terms of interaction. You don't feed hay to the scholar and give a lecture to the elephant.
Though some lectures might go better with the elephant.
Fair point. But the equal eye refers to seeing the essence within them.
The essence.
The wise person sees that the same spark, the same Lord, the same consciousness dwells inside the scholar and the dog.
It's looking past the container to see the contents.
Beautifully put. The containers are different. One container is a brilliant human brain, another container is a four-legged animal, another is a person society has rejected. But the life force, the divinity within, is identical.
This feels like the ultimate cure for social hierarchy and judgment.
It is.
I mean, apply this to the modern world. You walk into a skyscraper, you have the CEO in the corner office on the 50th floor, and you have the janitor cleaning the lobby.
Society tells us the CEO is high value and the janitor is low value. We naturally respect the CEO. Maybe we are even intimidated by them, and we might ignore the janitor or look right through them.
Or worse, we treat the janitor as utility and the CEO as a god.
But if you have this equal eyes, you see the truth. The CEO is just a person carrying a spark. The janitor is a person carrying the exact same spark. The container, the suit, the bank account, the job title, it's just the packaging.
That is a superpower. Imagine walking into a high-stakes negotiation with a scary boss or a client. If you can look at them and see the spark instead of just seeing the person who controls my paycheck, you can't be intimidated.
And conversely, you can't be arrogant towards someone below you. It levels the playing field. It creates equanimity. It dissolves bias.
And verse 5.19 says, if you can maintain this view, seeing the same everywhere, you have conquered the world.
Conquered the worldly miseries.
Yeah.
And the text emphasizes in this very life. This isn't about dying and going to heaven. It's about finding a state of peace right now, today, while you are walking down the street.
I love that. It brings it back to the here and now. We aren't waiting for the afterlife to be happy. Which brings us to the final and perhaps most practical part of our deep dive, the happiness hack.
My favorite part.
Because Chapter 5 doesn't just give us high-level philosophy, it gives us a very stern warning about where not to look for happiness.
Verse 5.22 is one of the most quotable verses in the Gita for me. It says, pleasures born of contact are wombs of misery.
Wombs of misery. That is dark. It's poetic, but it's heavy.
It is.
Pleasures born of contact means sensory stuff, right? Chocolate, scrolling on Instagram, buying new shoes, binge-watching TV.
Anything that comes from the contact between your senses and the outside world. Any external stimulation.
And why are they wombs of misery? I like chocolate. Chocolate makes me feel good. Why is the text calling it a womb of misery?
Because it is a setup. The text says these pleasures have a beginning and an end. That is the iron law of the physical universe. If it starts, it must stop.
Okay, so what?
So you eat the chocolate. It tastes great for 30 seconds. Then it's gone. What happens next?
I want another one.
Craving.
Or I feel guilty for eating it.
Regret. Or you eat 10 of them and feel sick.
Misery. Okay, I see your point.
The pleasure itself gives birth. It is the womb to the pain that follows. The pain isn't a punishment, it's a consequence. If you rely on something temporary for your happiness will be temporary. When the object goes away, your joy goes away.
So relying on external things for happiness is basically building your house on quicksand. You're guaranteeing a crash.
Exactly. The wise person, according to the Gita, doesn't seek enjoyment in things that expire. Now, does this mean they don't eat chocolate?
I was going to ask.
No. They might eat it, but they don't rely on it. They don't look to it as the source of their soul's satisfaction.
It's the difference between enjoying a sunny day and getting depressed when the sun goes down.
Perfect. Enjoy it while it's there, but know it's passing. Your baseline happiness isn't dependent on the weather.
Okay, so if we shouldn't get high on external pleasures, we also need to deal with the other side of the coin, negative impulses. Verse 5.23 talks about a specific challenge. It talks about withstanding the rush.
Velocity of desire and anger. This is one of my favorite practical verses.
It's so vivid.
It defines a real yogi, a happy person, as someone who can withstand the impulse of desire and anger before they leave their body.
Before they leave the body. That's an interesting phrase. It sounds like holding back a sneeze.
It implies checking the impulse before it manifests into action or speech. It's about catching it at the physiological level.
The source material uses the word velocity or rush. It reminds me of a wave, like you're standing in the ocean and a huge wave of anger comes at you.
That is the perfect analogy. Imagine you were in a meeting. Someone critiques your work in front of everyone, unfairly.
Okay, I'm there.
What happens to you physically?
Immediate reaction, heat in the face, heart rate spikes, stomach drops. I have the urge to snap back, to defend myself, to maybe throw a pen. That's the wave.
Right. Now, most of us get swept away by the wave. We snap back, and then we regret it, or we swallow it, and we seethe all day. We wipe out.
So what does the yogi do?
The yogi is the surfer. The wave comes. The heat rises. They feel the adrenaline. But they can ride it. They can feel the velocity of the anger without letting it knock them over. They observe it. Oh, look, anger is happening. But they don't become the anger. They create a space between the feeling and their identity.
So it's not about not feeling angry, because I think people try to suppress it, and that makes it worse.
No, suppression is dangerous.
Yeah.
That's just pushing the wave down, and it'll come back as a tsunami later.
Right.
You have a body, you will feel the chemical rush. It's about withstanding it. It's impulse control. Can you feel the urge to scream and yet speak calmly? That is the test.
It's like the gap between stimulus and response. The yogi widens that gap.
But how do they widen that gap? You can't just decide to be calm in the heat of the moment if you haven't practiced.
Right. You need to train for it.
You need to train. That's why the chapter ends with a technical manual, verses 5.27 and 5.28.
Yeah, the chapter pivots from philosophy to technique. It gives very specific instructions for meditation.
It does. And this isn't just think happy thoughts. It's physiological engineering.
Let's look at the steps. Shutting out external contacts, that means sensory withdrawal.
Put down the phone, close the door, close your eyes. You have to cut the feed of data coming into the city of 9 gates.
Then fixing the gaze between the eyebrows. Why between the eyebrows? That sounds cross-eyed.
It's a focal point, the Arjuna chakra, in yogic terms. But practically, it steadies the mind. If your eyes are darting around, your mind is darting around. By fixing the gaze, even with eyes closed, you lock the attention.
And then the breath. Equalizing the breath moving through the nostrils.
Prana and apana, balancing the inhale and the exhale. There is a direct link between breath and emotion. When you are angry, how do you breathe?
Short, shallow, fast, fight or flight.
When you are relaxed.
Long, slow, deep.
The text is saying you can reverse engineer your state of mind. By smoothing out the breath, making the inhale and exhale equal, you smooth out the thoughts. You hack the nervous system.
It's a system. Withdrawal, focus, breath. It's the gym routine for your mind.
It is. And notice how it connects back to the beginning. We started with the urge to run away to a cabin.
Right. Fantasy of escape.
This meditation practice is the cabin. You create a cabin of silence inside yourself. You shut out the external contacts for 20 minutes so that you can go back into the world and be the lotus leaf.
That is the key connection. You don't retreat from the world permanently. You retreat temporarily through meditation to recharge so you can engage better.
Exactly. It's not renunciation or action. It's renunciation for action. You renounce the stress so you can perform the action perfectly.
Renunciation for action. I like that. That solves Arjuna's problem. He doesn't have to leave the war. He has to change how he fights.
He has to fight without hate, without fear, and without the ego of I am the winner. He just does the duty.
So let's bring this all together. We've covered a massive amount of ground in this deep dive.
We have. We started with the great debate, stay or go. And the verdict was, stay, but change your mind. Don't be the guy in the cave with the busy mind. Be the person in the office with the quiet mind.
Then we looked at the lotus leaf. Living in the water but not getting wet, letting the results roll off you by offering them to the universal will, becoming hydrophobic to stress.
We deconstructed the doer. We realized we are the cow, not the farmer.
Right.
We have the intent, but the universe handles the outcome. This relieves the burden of Atlas. We don't have to hold up the sky.
We talked about the equal eye, seeing the same spark in the CEO and the janitor, the scholar and the dog, breaking down judgment and hierarchy.
And finally, the happiness hack. Don't trust temporary sensory pleasures, those wombs of misery. Learn to surf the waves of desire and anger through the practice of meditation.
You know, when we started, I was joking about the cabin in the woods, and honestly, part of me still wants that cabin.
I think we all do, a little bit.
But this framework feels achievable. Selling my house and moving to Montana is a lot of paperwork, but taking 10 minutes to breathe and shifting my perspective on my next email, I can do that.
And that is the beauty of the Gita. It meets you where you are. It doesn't ask you to be a different person. It asks you to look at the world differently.
It's about changing the attitude toward the work, not the work itself. I feel relieved that I don't have to become a monk to find some peace. I just have to be a better cow.
Be a better cow. The big win here is attaining peace here and now. The text promises that if you practice this, even a little bit, you can conquer worldly miseries in this body, in this life. You become untouchable by stress.
I think we could all use a little more of that untouchable lotus leaf energy.
Absolutely.
Before we sign off, I want to leave our listeners with one final image from the text that we briefly touched on in the notes, but I think is worth chewing on. Verse 5.1c.
The sun.
The source says that knowledge reveals the supreme like a brilliant sun.
It's a powerful metaphor to end on. Imagine the sun is always shining. It never turns off. But on a cloudy day, you can't see it. You might look up and think the sun is gone.
But the sun isn't gone, it's just covered.
Our inner wisdom, our peace, our spark is like that sun. It is always there. We are walking around with a brilliant sun inside us right now. We don't have to create it. We don't have to buy it. But it is covered by the clouds of ignorance, anxiety, and ego.
So the question for you to mull over today is, what acts as the wind? What is the strongest wind you can generate today to blow those clouds away? Is it a specific action? Is it a moment of deep breathing? Or is it simply that shift in perspective, realizing you are not the doer, letting the result roll off the leaf?
Something to think about the next time you're stuck in traffic or staring at a deadline. The sun is there. You just have to move the clouds.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll see you on the next one.
Stay hydrophobic.